What's going on, Sky Squad? We are back in the building. First of all, I want to say happy Saturday to you all out there. Happy Saturday. It is a bright and sunny Saturday here in the great state of Maryland, baby. So hopefully y'all get a chance to, get out there and experience some sunshine today. I plan on doing just that in just a little bit. But I said, you know what, first, we got a couple of things that we need to discuss. So let me know when you guys hop into the room. I am y'all. Okay. I done found my comments, baby. We good to go. We good to go. Let me tell you something, man. This new software is crazy. But I'm learning, y'all. I'm learning. I'm getting it together. I'm getting it together. All right, so yes, happy Saturday. I see y'all. Saturday live, baby. Saturday midday live. What's going on, cousin? What's going on, cousin? What's going on, cousin? Before we get into this thing, y'all, listen. I want to let y'all know we got two more spots for our Bali excursion coming up in October. If you didn't get in earlier, okay, and you didn't seen the pictures from Bali from the first time, don't let it be October and you were saying, Richie, I know I wanted to go. I've been saying I want to go with you on one of your trips when you going back to Bali. I don't know. Okay. So you might want to get in on this one so you can, do the things with us. All right. So before we get into Belle Collective, because we're going to be talking about that, we're going to be talking also about Kim Zolciak and the custody of these kids. What's going on with that? We got to talk about what Andy's got a little warning for some housewives, y'all. We're going to talk about a couple of different things. So, y'all, we're going to move through things fluidly. You know what I'm saying? We're going to move through things real fluidly today on this good Saturday. Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Andy reveals why housewives feuds get worse after filming. Okay. I think a lot of this is pretty much well known for us who are a part of this, who've been a part of this thing for quite some time. I've been recapping shows since 2016? I think, yeah, it was 2016 when I first started recapping reality TV shows. So I've been doing this a decade now, y'all. A decade. Oh my God, time flies. And I'll get into that later. But anyway, Andy basically says this while speaking to the cast of The Real Housewives of Rhode Island. Shout out to our friends over at the Jasmine brand as well. But he says this. He explained that longtime housewives often struggle when confessionals begin airing, and previously settled issues, they suddenly start to feel fresh again when the show airs. So he says, as the season plays out, you're going to hear a lot in confessionals from the other women. He says, try to stay in the place that you are right now with each other. Because I'm assuming that right now they might be all pretty good and chummy and stuff like that. Then he made it clear in the post-filming fallout that this is one of the biggest pitfalls of the franchise, noting that this is the thing that a lot of veteran housewives still have a really hard time with. This is a really hard thing. He urged the cast to focus on the present instead of letting future episodes reignite current friendships and feuds. I'm going to touch on this because it's funny to me. Still, he basically knows that unresolved issues are a part of the formula, and in true reunion fashion, he added, but keep a list and we'll hash it out at the reunion. I can hear him saying it just like that. A line that the Jasmine brand says perfectly captures why housewife tensions so often explode all over again months after filming wraps. And then Andy also offered this advice on surviving the internet storm that comes with Bravo fame. He warns the women not to get too caught up in audience reactions. He says, don't believe the comments. Social media is not reality. Adding that online feedback is never as great or as bad as it feels online. And they say for the Jasmine brand, the moment pulls back the curtain on exactly why housewives feuds can spiral long after scenes are shot. Confessionals, fan commentary, and reunion receipts have a way of reopening wounds that once seemed resolved, turning old tension into fresh Bravo chaos. I mean, let's really dive into that. I mean, first of all, much of the Housewives drama slash chaos really does come from the ladies watching the show. I mean, obviously, there's things that happen during the show, but then once the show starts airing, especially if the show is airing and they still have confessionals to do, what will happen is a housewife will see the show and then she will have to go back into confessionals and maybe do some pickups. Pickups are basically like, well, we need you to say this line, or we need you to come in and we need you to explain this a little further because we don't have the proper explanation for a particular scene, or we want to get your input on something. So that's a pickup, right? So a lot of times with pickups, sometimes, and I think this is sometimes the case, you'll see the ladies go back in and they'll be wearing the exact same thing, but the hair might be a little bit different, right? And you'll be able to tell that, oh, this was shot on a separate day because the hair is kind of like out of place, or it's just a little bit, something's a little different. Y'all pick up on that, right? Or a pickup could be, and I have done this personally, where they have asked you to send something in as a voice note to use as narration, and the pickup line is meant to be sound like a confessional, but it is really just you saying something in your phone, and they've edited it so that you, the audience, can hear the explanation that the housewife is giving. Okay. The only reason I know so much about this is because I did it when I filmed Stripped on Bravo myself personally. So I know a lot of what kind of goes on in the filming process, at least in terms of, the confessionals and stuff like that. Now, with those confessionals, when they see something that someone has said, now when they go back into the confessionals for that pickup, or just go back for their final confessional, they may come back with a different energy for that person, and then you may see them going off on that person, whereas prior to that you didn't really see it because they've now seen the episode and they saw what somebody else said about them. So again, the show feeds a little bit off of the chaotic energy, and so it's kind of it's interesting advice that he gives them. I would tell, if it were me, the much better advice that I think I would give them if I were him would be this. I would tell them not to take this all as personally as a lot of the cast members do, right? And what I mean by that is, obviously something that somebody says could hurt your feelings, but I would say that there is a line that you should all agree that you're not going to cross. Some people on the show will start digging into somebody's past, or somebody online will send them something and then they'll run with that. There has to be an agreement at some point that the ladies or the cast members will say, you know what, we're not going to go here with each other, because then you end up with the show like Real Housewives of New Jersey, where the people just can't come back from it. And because they want to isolate each other, then they isolate themselves out of jobs. Okay? You okay? And so and I feel like that's kind of, to me, what happened with the situation with Giselle and Candace. I think that situation with the accusations against Chris Bassett, they went way too far. And when you get to that point, then there's just about no coming back from that. And then it really does muddy the waters so much that it's not even entertaining anymore. And so I think that's the better warning to give them, because clearly we want that drama that those confessionals bring, because then that adds fuel for fire to the reunion. It reminds me, and I know this is not the case for Bravo because they don't have to do this. And no one has ever said that this has happened. But if you guys watch there's a Jerry Springer documentary on, I think it's on Netflix, or at least it was. Has anybody in the chat seen it? Hey, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Um, oh my God. Happy birthday. Shout out. I gotta shout out something though. I've got to shout out my girl in the chat, Tashara. Happy freaking birthday. Y'all, let me tell y'all something. When I started working in the travel space, okay, when I started really going in and building a team, Tashara was one of those people who said, "You know what, Richie?" After a couple of months of watching, she said, "You know what? I am all in. Okay, I'm all in." And Tashara is already a cruising queen. What do I mean by that? She is somebody who already has built a life where her life is a vacation. Okay, and so to have worked with her over this past year and to see how she has grown as a person, it just it is probably one of the most inspiring things that I have seen. And I just want to say thank you for trusting me. And I want to say thank you for working with me and for building what we have all been able to build together, because it is possible because of people like you. So I just wanted to say publicly, happy birthday. I love you. You know, the rest of the team loves you. And so much of what we do is possible because you are there holding a lot of us together when we need it the most. So I just wanted to say that personally, y'all. I really, really did. So y'all wish a happy birthday. Okay, so um it was good. So the documentary is the Jerry Springer documentary. I think it was on Netflix, or at least that's where I think I saw it, from what I remember. What I want to say though is, y'all, the documentary basically dives into how it came to be that these people, the guests on the show, why they would be so riled up when they got on stage. Okay? So behind the scenes, it would be somebody like a producer or somebody. And from my understanding, from the way they described it, like they would get these people so amped up, because for a lot of these people, it would be their first time on TV, right? And so they would be nervous. But there would be some producer or somebody behind the scenes, like, yeah, she slept with your man. How's she gonna do that? How she do that to you? Why would she do that to you? That's supposed to be your sister. And she slept with your man while you was in the next room? What? I mean, I don't even know what I would do if I was you. But I mean, that type of stuff is too disrespectful. And you don't need that. I mean, and so they would just amp it up and amp it up and amp it up. That to me is kind of how, I mean, and it's not the same thing, trust and believe, I know. But I would say that the confessionals, the interviews, they do ramp people up. And the producers don't have to do that. The network doesn't have to do that, but the internet can. Okay. The people, if you read the comments, so that's why I said there's some parts of his advice I feel like is good, and some parts of it I feel like, I mean, I would give some different advice, right? Okay, and I'm not gonna even deny it. I think we all play a part sometimes in riling people up when they read our comments or they listen to our commentary, right? But I think that's also why he tells them to not also focus so much on what it is that's being said about you, because one day it will be good and the next day it will be bad. And I'm going to tell you, that's just really how this space works. One day we will love a person and the next day we won't, based on what the edit shows us. And it's just a cyclical game in the reality TV world. And so some of his advice I agree with, and some of it I think I would go a little deeper with the advice that I give to any new cast member or to any cast member in general, particularly as we're starting a new season of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. I already know y'all are going to y'all either gonna love Shamia or you gonna hate Shamia. I already know. Okay. Based on what I've heard and based on what Pinky said on that interview with her and Shamia, and she said that Shamia caused the most drama this season. I already know. Shamia is such a polarizing character. I get it to a certain degree, but I also don't get it to a certain degree. Like, I feel like she deserves some like side eyes, but by and large, I feel like Shamia's biggest mistake was trying to go into this being the super loyal friend and trying to go so far out of your way. Listen, when you go so far out of your way to people please, this is a real life thing, y'all. I'm gonna let y'all know this. When you go so far out of your way to people please, you end up people pleasing no one. No one is pleased with you. Okay? You won't even be pleased with yourself. And I think that's a valuable lesson that she learned the hard way this past season. So much so that the person that she was trying to please ended up being displeased and distancing herself. So, I mean, there you have it. What's going on? Make it make sense. Mims in the building, dropping bars on us. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Thank you for blessing us with your presence. I always like to shout out other creators, especially when they stop by. It's just an honor always to have somebody like you in the building. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. And, are you excited? Mims, are you excited for this new season? How do you feel about it? Like, who are you looking forward to seeing? I think I'm looking forward most to seeing like a K Michelle, because I just feel like she's so funny to me. Um, One Love Life A says she was Portia's best friend, birds of a feather. That's who she really is. But the funny thing about it is with that, when people say birds of a feather, it seems like people seem to still end up liking Portia more and disliking her the most, like Shamia the most, right? Um, Mem says the moment Shamia got a rich husband before Portia, she became Portia's enemy. Ooh, I love a good old strong opinion, baby. I love a strong opinion. And I do feel like the friendship was fractured long ago. I feel like that. I feel like it's one of those situations where all it took was the wrong tap and that thing was going to break down fast. We saw it. And the funny thing about it was I remember people saying, "Well, it's the bloggers. It's the bloggers. Y'all the ones who trying to create friction between them two." And I'm like, "What we ain't got nothing to do with that. We do not win if Portia and Shamia are not friends. We don't win in that situation." I mean, it does us no good to create that level of friction. Now, granted, we have strong opinions about it, but that's based on what they give us. If you don't give us crazy, then we won't say nothing crazy. Nine times out of ten, we reacting to what we are seeing. Period. So I don't have that agreement when I used to see that comment a lot that we the commentators, we didn't want to see them be friends. No, no, y'all had problems long ago. Okay. Clearly, y'all had so many problems. Y'all mama got problems. You know what I'm saying? Nandy says, in my opinion, she looked foolish last season, and I was excited to see her as a full time. I was excited too, and I think she had a strong start. But I think following Portia's lead into that situation where she was laughing about, Portia saying making the joke about like sleeping, being able to sleep with Charles Oakley. I think that put her in such a negative light, only for her to then have problems with Portia that were unresolved from their time from a previous point in time. It just really was like, girl, what are you doing, right? And then putting her issues with Brit off on really basing her issues with Brit off of Kelly is what it seemed like. So it always seemed like she was tagging along and having issues with people because somebody else was having issues with them versus genuinely having a problem with somebody like her versus Angela in the beginning of the season. I was here for it because it seemed funny, but then things turned weird. All right. Mim says, I love K Michelle, but the lineup is missing Nene, Kenya, and old school Phaedra energy. It's giving manufactured drama, but I'm gonna give the season a chance. Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be, I always think when you get into like the 17th season of something and you don't have that original OG that like really carries, like can carry and direct. And I think that's kind of what, in my opinion, we need a director, right? And what I mean by a director is like somebody who is moving the needle at all points in time, but feels very natural in doing so and is funny at the same time. And old school Nene, I agree with you, does that well. Kenya knows what to do because she knows TV too, and I agree, old school Phaedra. There's a difference between the Phaedra that we see now and old school Phaedra, because old school Phaedra felt more like a side character, but it was like we were discovering that she was funny and hilarious and all of those things. You know what I'm saying? That's what I miss about that era of Phaedra. I feel like the Phaedra we see now knows her sweet spot, and because she knows it, she leans into it so much that it's almost like they don't give us anything else outside of that character that is funny, right? It's funny, makes the jokes and has the laughs and stuff like that. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you so much, ma'ams. Shamia should be demoted for it's every once in a while somebody will say something and it'll leave me speechless because I don't always agree either with her choices. I I I don't understand them, I would say. And here's what it is. Oh, thank you also to One Love, Life 8. Much love, DJ Richie. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. The Here's the thing with me. I genuinely like her, but I think that what I don't like is I like subtle. Okay, I like a little bit of gaudiness. I'm not gonna lie. Like fashion wise, I do like a little bit of, but there's a method to the madness, and a really really good stylist can make gaudy look good, right? But when it's just gaudy, just for the gaudiness of it, like I just sometimes want to tell her, like, take 3 things off. Shamia, if you take 3 things off, boom, girl, you got it. You got it, you got it. Just take 3 things off. Cause you don't need all of it. You don't need the whole label set. You don't need the whole label set. Just put the one thing on, right? And then we would be perfectly fine. That's it. Cause we know you got the money. We know you rich. You don't even have to do much. You could just show us your house. Girl, you could show up in scenes in a deep V-neck t-shirt, some designer jeans, and a nice pair of like pumps or something like that, stilettos, pumps in the club, and there we would have it. You know? Oh my, yes. I mean, stop by the showroom if she. I don't. If does Marlo still do the showrooms? Is she still doing the show? I don't know, but stop by there. Better call Paris. Okay, Paris gets the people together. Okay, Paris gets the people together. Mims also says Shamia can actually afford when. Woo! Precisely. Precisely. And see, to me, this is why I say better call Paris. Call Paris. I mean, like, and I say that with I do say that with like, like you got this, Shamia. You got it. You have it. You just need another it. Okay, like something else, but not that. Whatever. Cause sometimes it just be looking like I want to say sometimes, girl, you too rich for you too rich for this outfit. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. But that's just me. We're talking about Shamia's wardrobe choices at times. And our hope for some better choices this season, because I just think that I think she's just too beautiful to be, covered in so much gaudy, you know? Like, it actually takes away from how amazing she looks. Yes, a nice little, something real classy, sophisticated. I want to see the ladies who lunch. Um, I want to see the ladies who lunch, not the ladies who hunch. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it's given sometimes. Oh God. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. How did we go? We went all the way down. Oh God. Okay, so let's move on, y'all, because we got to talk about Kim and them kids. Okay. So how did this whole situation get started? So I saw this yesterday afternoon, but I had too many things going on to sit back down in this chair yet again. Um, and I had a memorial service to attend yesterday afternoon. So, uh, we had to do some things, be there for some, we had to be there for our people. Mim says Shamia should have shopped at Kenya's garage sale. Yo, Kenya, I think Kenya just put out another video, right? I think I saw Kenya put out a video. It was talking about glam something, and I'm like, she should. I mean, listen, uh, I'm sure Kenya had some pieces ready for whatever she was about to do last season. Like, get, I mean, call her. All right. I mean, listen, because I feel like, again, you know what it gave? It gave very much new money, and um I want so much more. I want so much more for her. I want so much more for her. I do. I want Shamia to win, y'all. I really do. Okay, so yesterday there was a story that came out about Kim Zolciak, and it was a report from TMZ that says Real Housewives of Atlanta's Kim Zolciak stripped of custody until she wraps up therapy. So, as you can see, this is a clip pulled from Kim's Instagram story. So Kim is putting up this story and she's saying, I will absolutely not put up with any of these lies any longer. All right. Now I want to shout out the Neighborhood Talk because they had posted this. This was the first place that I ended up seeing the story. I'm actually kind of glad that I wasn't able to really get into it too much yesterday because as we know in this space, things can rapidly change, and there's updates to the story. So, I mean, for for us in the space, I mean, that gives us more to talk about, right? But the stuff that happens with Kim and her family, after a while, it just always seems like it starts to feel, y'all know how I feel about low vibrational stories. Like her and Croy, to me, when I have to talk about them, I often feel like I just finished holding a plate of chitterlings and pig's feet that were drip, and the plate is so soggy it's dripping. I talked about this, I think, yesterday or the day before. That's how I typically feel about talking about stories with Kim and Croy because I just feel like, again, it just be feeling so low vibrational plate. You know what I'm saying? And I can't think of a lower vibrational plate than a plate filled with pig's feet and chitterlings. And I know some of y'all like them, and I'm completely aware. And I'm so sorry if I'm offending you, but then again, I'm not. So here we are. So I wanted to at least be able to put out what Kim said in response to the story because I think it's super important. The headline reads, and shout out again the Neighborhood Talk, Kim Zolciak shuts down reports that she temporarily lost custody of her 4 children, claims she missed therapy due to being on a strict filming schedule, says, I am scheduled to resume my parenting time when my children return next week. She says, I signed a temporary custody order at the end of January. The order clearly states that both the mother and the father are to participate in 2 counseling sessions per month for 2 months, followed by 1 session per month thereafter. I was out of the country from February 26th through March the 28th due to contractual filming obligations on 2 separate productions. So Kim is basically saying here, I am working and I'm getting to the bag and this is nonsense. Okay. During that time, I did not have a single day off, making it impossible to attend the required counseling sessions. Croy, as of today, I had KJ and Cash up until 5 p.m. See, this is where to me, I feel like the explanation of it all, we go into a vibrational plate energy that I just feel like, oh my God, I hate stepping into this. Currently he has the children for spring break, which is designated parenting time under the existing agreement. I am scheduled to resume my parenting time when the children return on Friday. My counseling sessions are scheduled and will be completed next week. For the avoidance of any doubt, I have not lost custody of my children, nor has there been any modification to the custody arrangement outside of the agreed upon temporary order. Kim is basically saying she ain't lost them kids. And there we go. Okay. There we go. Kim ain't lost them kids. Moving on. I gotta discuss Belle Collective, and I feel like I'm about to lose my voice. So we're gonna get into that right now. Um, Let me talk about what episode this is of Belle Collective. Y'all know Belle Collective Birmingham starts next week. Just so everybody is aware. And that is going to be starring Stormy Steele and the girls, um, whomever they may be. We know them because we did a little bit of a talk about them. This episode of Belle Collective is season 7, episode 8. It's called Let Me Reintroduce Myself. There are 2 more episodes to go. Tamber throws an event at a museum to reintroduce herself to the collective, including a surprise guest. Glenn suggests that he should manage Lateshia's career. Marie and her son bond on the basketball court, and Tamber squashes a rumor about her and a client. The description talks about one thing, but we're going to talk about another. This episode, to me, really underscored something that is very difficult for me to discuss because I look at this show from 2 angles. Okay. I look at Belle Collective from the angle of a viewer, but I also look at Belle Collective from the angle of a producer. Am I a producer on this show? No. Okay. No, Meredith. I am not. But as someone who has watched these shows and who understands what goes on behind the lens, I also understand what I'm seeing at times. Okay. And what I want to say to you is that functionally, this show works so much because Lateshia works so much. Okay. I have to acknowledge what I see from both ends of the spectrum. Okay. Lateshia is the engine behind this season of the show. She is the person who is making the stories move and keeping things in motion. All right. Now, when you become the show's engine, again, this is my opinion. When you become the show's engine, you also have to take a lot of the heat for what is happening on the show. Okay. So much of the story that's moving, that is circulating, you also have to then answer for those things as they are occurring. Let's give you an example, shall we? Example A. Glenn posted the photos of him, Cliff, and Mike. I think that's his name. Selena's soon-to-be husband, fiance, who is, I guess, supposed to be taking her to Colombia to get her teeth done. I personally don't see anything wrong with her teeth, but y'all be telling me y'all don't see nothing wrong with mine. Okay. And I done told y'all before, I give me some day glow chompers. Okay. That when I open my mouth, everybody turns blind because you can no longer see. That's how white I want my teeth. I want them teeth to be like, I open up my mouth to smile and you have lost all of your sight. Okay. But anyway, she says something about some teeth being inverted or something like that. I really don't know what that means. It pulls to mind a visual, but I that visual don't look like what I see when I look at her. So whatever. She got to go get the teeth done. But before she leaves, she got to sit down with Lateshia and find out, girl, if you knew about this story about whomever is saying whatever they saying in the comments, why I gotta hear it from Marie in a whispered conversation, and then from Kerri, who claims in one breath that she heard it from via another from that same whisper that Marie. So apparently Marie, if we are to believe Kerri, but do we believe Kerri, or was I Jedi mind tricked in this episode by Lateshia? I really don't know. All I'm saying is the story goes that Lateshia knew about the comment, but was never gonna say nothing about the comment because she didn't have no information. So who told Marie? See, that's the trail that I'm following. In my estimation, unless Marie just came across the photo, then would it not make sense to assume that Lateshia told Marie because we know that they are close? Then Marie sees Selena, whispers in her ear, "Hey girl, there was someone who commented on Glenn's photo that Mike had a baby on the way." Kerri may or may not have been ear hustling at her own event, because y'all do know a lot of times when all cast events are being filmed, for us regular folks, when we are having events, there's music playing in the background. But at various points in time, could be the entire time, could be some of the time, when a cast event is being filmed, there is no music being played, okay? Because they don't want to have to block anything out or pay any royalties to anything. So there's no music playing. So it could have very well been that Marie was very loud with her whisper, or Kerri's just very good at reading lips, or Kerri did not read those lips and heard it later from the guys talking. But if we are to believe Lateshia, Kerri is inconsistent with what she's saying. Okay, so let's establish that baseline. Do y'all follow me? If you follow me, chime in on the chat. Now that we've established this baseline, Selena comes into this situation having already had a conversation with Mike, already knowing that this exists, having gotten the bug from Marie that this could become a thing. This could come up. Why would it come up though? Why would it come up? I mean, unless the thought is maybe a producer might ask, well, this has been circulating amongst the group. We've heard it. So have you heard it? But it would still take someone bringing it to camera before, like somebody would have to do the dirty work of bringing it to the camera in order for it to be a subject. Because even if production knows, it's not going to make sense that production just puts up a blurb, Selena's husband fiance accused of by a random person on Instagram. No, somebody actually has to say it in the group. That's the mechanics of the show, right? So Selena sits down with Lateshia and confronts her and is like, girl, you knew this, but why didn't you tell me? This is all valid to me, if you ask me. Valid point, because I feel like anybody would want to know that, right? By the same logic that, and it could be, I mean, we could debate this, but by the same logic that Lateshia brought Shantae to tell Tambra about the rumors, is the same logic that we could also apply, that Lateshia could also go directly to Selena and tell her what she saw. If we're operating under that same a similar logic. Possibly, right? Possibly. But because it was, we could also argue that because it was Shantae, she chose to let Shantae be the person to do it. I mean, I'm just saying, we go back to Lateshia in this scene because that's where Selena went. And Selena feels like she's owed an explanation from Lateshia. So Lateshia apologizes and like, well, I didn't have no proof, but I hear what you're saying. But then Lateshia flips this into, but what about Miss Kerri, baby? Okay. What about Miss Kerri, baby, first saying that it was Cliff and the guys, and then saying it was, and then, but then also saying she heard it from Marie. Now, we didn't, from what I gather from the last episode that I saw, I didn't hear her say it came from Marie. I heard her say it came from the guys. So this might have been something that we didn't hear in the playback. But it was just funny to me how Lateshia was like, "Well, what you think about that? What you think about Kerri?" And in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, "No, Selena not thinking about Kerri. Selena about thinking about you, okay? Selena is thinking about you, girl. You right now is the one we are thinking about." And so again, this is also why I say the person who is moving the story and who is the engine also has to be the person who ends up facing the music when things start to go kind of chaotic and haywire, as evidenced by this scene right here. Now, the next scene that we see where someone is kind of confronting Lateshia is when Kerri and Paul and her husband, is his name Paul? No, their last name is Paul. His name is Matt. I think it's Matt. I don't know. Whatever. They come to bowl with Lateshia and Glenn. Lateshia somewhat brings, or they somehow get on the conversation about the Selena situation. Or no, they get on a. Do they? It wasn't the Selena situation, was it? Or was it the Tambra situation? It was one of those two situations, and basically, Kerri is basically telling Lateshia, like, girl, maybe you shouldn't have told Tambra about this rumor in the way that you did because it did not work in your favor. Because if you are trying to establish a relationship with Tambra, then bringing Ashante to the meeting was messy. Essentially, that's what Kerri tells her. And Letitia's like, well, if I had not brought her, if I had not said anything, then y'all would have been like, why didn't you tell her? But it goes back to the Selena situation. That's exactly what Selena was asking you for. So it was an interesting dichotomy to watch these two situations that Lateshia has found herself in with regards to the rumors in the group. Okay. Now, the other engine that Lateshia is running, right, is Glenn. All right. Glenn has taken Lateshia on a massage date. But Glenn always F's things up for himself and I just feel like, you know what I feel like with Glenn? I think Glenn thinks like a caveman. Like Glenn thinks in my mind like how a 21-year-old thinks about relationships. And I mean a 20-year-old from like maybe about 15 years ago, right? And I'm not trying to be disrespectful about it. I'm just when I follow his logic, it never makes sense to me, and it just seems so juvenile. In an effort to be nice to Lateshia, he takes her to a massage, date, which is nice. But as a result, he wants to know was first, which is Letitia's manager that is on leave. Glenn suggests, well, I should be your manager. And she's like, no, absolutely not. As she should. Okay. As she should. She should be telling you, no, sir. What qualifications do you have? I love that she says, well, what does a manager do? He can't even really answer the question. So then he equates her challenging him about what a manager does to her being mean to him when he is being nice to her and taking her out on a date. It's like he has qualified the date and conflated the date with getting a yes from her. So because he took her out on a date to the massage place, she should be nice to him. And therefore, what being nice equates to is him getting his way and managing her when she is the person that is checking his emails for him? What are you going to manage? Because it doesn't even sound like you are managing your own life. It sounds like Letitia's managing your day-to-day life. So how are you then going to, in effect, manage her? But it is not management that he really wants and seeks. It is actually sounding like control. Because what he also says is that, well, then we'll finally get to spend time together. If I'm managing you, you're gonna manage her down to the pits of double double hockey sticks, because that's the only place that her career is going if you're in charge of it, because you don't know what a manager does. You can't even tell her what a manager does. You can't even articulate what you would do for her career. You have not pitched her anything. So you're right. The massage parlor, okay, was basically a butterization so he could then thereby get his way, and therefore he can be in control of the situation and wants to be able to manage all of her comings and goings. But I don't understand, why is it that he wants to manage her choices in life? Is it that he thinks that in some way, shape, or form, if she sees herself as she truly is, and let me have a conversation with y'all real quick. All right. The most dangerous thing that you can be in life is 110% sure of yourself. The reason why is because when you are 100% sure of yourself and you have fully accepted your identity as the winner that you are, then you become unstoppable, okay? And an unstoppable person can achieve great things and generally excels and expands far beyond their capabilities that other people have placed on them, the limitations that other people have placed on them, the cages that other people have placed them in. So many of us walk around living in a cage in our own minds because we believe that we are so small that we can't accomplish the things that we want in life. And we allow other people to keep us in cages based on what they think that we can, could, or should be doing. And in this situation that we're looking at, that's what it feels like. But there is something happens when you really finally shift into the identity that you were meant to have, the person that you are meant to be. Okay. At that point, nothing is impossible for you. There is nothing that you can't do. And what happens with a person who becomes unstoppable is they stop accepting BS from people who want to keep them in a cage. So, of course, you would he would want to control every aspect of what she's doing, because there is clearly a fear there that she will finally step into the identity that she is supposed to be and end up fulfilling her destiny that does not include him. That to me is the deeper issue here. There is an insecurity about himself and about her. And a lot of it, I think, is based on his past mistakes. C. Logan says Glenn is so focused on trying to keep his wife in a box that he's missing out on his own opportunities in life. That's that is so true. You end up missing so much when you try so hard to keep someone else from flying and realizing who they could potentially be. And the reason I say that, and I know that some people will take what I said about Lateshia in a negative sense when I said that she was kind of the engine who is running the show. But if you watch her, she's the person who kind of manages a lot of the scenes. Like when a scene is ending or when it starts, what the subject matter is going to be, how we got to that subject. And sometimes she sits back and she lets other people do that, like Tambra at Tambra's event. Speaking of Tambra, Tambra actually is really, really stepping up this season. And I gotta also say that Tambra, to me, there is, I know a lot of people don't like that level of blonde, but that blonde and that pink on her, that looked absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. She looked absolutely stunning in that blonde and that pink. But she to me is stepping up this season, or at least they're showing more of her, and she takes the reins in this moment, and I like it because I almost feel like you have to activate Tambra in order for her to start really kind of getting pushing and really, stepping in there and doing what needs to be done. And I'm happy to see that, because when Tambra steps up and when she finally gets activated and she finally starts like getting the engine revved up, she is so much more vibrant, energetic, and she takes up more space in the scene. So when she has this event, number one, she has gone to the man, Mr. Cleanse, her and Demont, to let him know that there is someone spreading a rumor about them. And to be honest with you, I was like, if there was somebody that they were saying that she would be kind of with, he does look like, I mean, he kind of reminded me a little bit of Demont, a little bit, like not all the way, but I could sort of see a slight resemblance, but not a resemblance, just a type, right? So I could see how somebody would try to make that into a rumor, but because of the nature of the relationship being she's the host and he's a client to the station, it's kind of like, the last thing that you want to do is, especially for another woman, to put her in a situation where it even seems like she might be doing something that would possibly go against what the station has established. Like, I mean, you just don't know what the rules of are for engagement for her level of work at at that specific station. So that could also come into a situation where that's impacting her job and her livelihood. And so I do think it was important for them to, if they're going to, number one, show this man's photo on camera, number one, bring him into it, give him the opportunity to also say his piece about this not being true. I appreciate that they did that on this show, because on some shows they wouldn't have even given him the space to speak, right? He would have, on some shows, he might have had to go to his social media account and deny all of this ever happened. But I like that they gave him that opportunity to do that. That to me was responsible, in terms of how they chose to film this. And I like that. Tambra has a decision to make in this episode. Is she going to showcase, her daughter on the show in the way that the women would be able to kind of meet with her daughter, who they have previously not? And I think that this episode went a long way towards explaining and expressing why Tambra was so protective of her own child, as she should be, right? But in the way that she was, because she herself had her leg broken as a child when she was in the care of someone else. That's crazy. Can you imagine your child has been with like a babysitter, or has been left with someone who was supposed to be in the care of, caring for the child, and then the child returns and then their leg is broken? Like, what? And nobody thought to say nothing about the baby's leg being broken? How did this happen? What happened? Were you on watch at the time? Like, there's so many concerns that now make so much more sense. I understand. I mean, there's a level of, I don't understand why the women feel like they don't know her because they've been with her for 7 seasons, but I think as an audience, we have a broader understanding now also too, of exactly what she has been going through, why she may have like this sort of almost PTSD surrounding, um uh exposing her child to people that are not within her direct sphere of trust. I get it now. There's so much more that I agree with. I so not agree with, but I get about her, and so I appreciated this episode, and I appreciated that the ladies also appreciated it as well. And she tells them flat out, like she tells Lateshia, like, I had a conversation with Mr. Cleanse. Me and Demont, we sat with him, and Demont was actually not really with bringing their daughter to the group, because he was very much like he don't trust them ladies either. And I get it. I get why he would not, especially with that type of rumor going on out there, knowing that she is a still, I mean, she's still a relatively new mom and what she's kind of been going through. But the end result was an activated Tamra. And I would expect to see a little, I expect that we will see more activated Tamra. That's all I'm gonna say. Um, hmm. Anything else that major happened in this episode that we needed to discuss? I mean, Marie meets with her son. He wants to open up a dispensary. Um, she's opening up, I think, her ninth location. And she's wondering for him why he doesn't want to come into the business with her. And I'm like, well, maybe he don't want to do that. But there's a part of me that I also understand now too, because I've come to know so many people who work in the healthcare industry at this point. I have been able to see a pattern in people who work in healthcare. A lot of times you can sort of see their family integrated into working in healthcare as well. And I understand it so much better now. And if I did not understand what I know now about people who work in nursing, who work in healthcare administration, who work in the medical field, I think now I understand also too why Marie would be so um would kind of maybe be on him a little bit about potentially joining too, because I will say this, healthcare is something that it's one of those careers, from my understanding, where there is always going to be a need. There's always going to be a need. And I get it. I totally get it. If I were just the casual viewer who had no association with the healthcare industry or had no understanding of it, I might be like, well, girl, why are you pushing him to do this? But because I understand what I understand now, I get it. I get it. Especially if he's in a space where he is trying to figure himself out, then knowing what I know now, healthcare would be something that I would recommend for somebody. But I also feel like people who work in healthcare are a different breed of a person because they have to have a commitment to people. You've got to have a commitment to people. Um, and then, she's like, who's gonna fund this? Who's gonna fund this business? You want to start a dispensary, but I think at the end of the scene, a lot, as some of you pointed out, um, he I don't know. He did not have a car. I'm not putting a judgment on that, but what I'm saying, that kind of goes hand in hand with the idea of, well, who's gonna fund this? And not to say that, listen, there are business grants, there are grants out there, there are programs for new business owners, and I'm not saying that he can't get in on that. And him having a car, I mean there could be a whole number of reasons for that, or him not having driven that day, that could be something as well. So we don't really know the background behind that, but I think that the words of advice that she gave him were definitely sound and sage, and I would definitely be listening. And I think that it would probably do him very, very good if that he wants to open a business like that. Then I think that he should also be interning for her as well, so that he can learn how it is that she grew her business and how she does business. Because I think it's one thing to have a parent who works, but when my parents went to work, I didn't know what they was doing. So just like most kids, I mean, we don't really we know we might know what our parents do, but we don't know what they do on a daily. We don't know the exact action items that they're taking on a day-to-day basis. So we don't always know, right, what our parents are doing when they're aware. We just don't know. So I think it would be good for him to shadow her and Essie and find out, okay, what does a business entail, and can I do this, and do I want to? Because as she stated, I'm not going to lie to you, and trust me, I know business is hard. There have been several businesses that I have, either dip my toe in and then quickly regretted it. Okay, I'm gonna give y'all one example. Y'all, I wanted to have these Airbnbs so bad, y'all. I wanted to have them so bad. So I ended up getting two Airbnbs, two houses, and I went through this program to do it. And you have to buy into the program, right? So you buy into this program, and they basically set you up with these rental properties. Now the owners already they you have an agreement that you can rent this property, and you're gonna be Airbnb the property, right? I'm gonna tell y'all the story. I don't mind telling you because um I don't mind telling you because it is what it is at this point. It happened to me. But I learned a very valuable lesson. And this is why when she says business is hard, I want to express it to y'all too. I got into this program. And I said, in everything that I do, y'all, everything I do, I'm aggressive. Okay? I'm aggressive. If I really want to do something, I'm super aggressive. So no, I didn't have two. It was actually three. I got my first one. It was in Florida. My second and third were in Connecticut. Now the second and third was a house. There were two houses. Well, the one in Florida was a house. The one in Connecticut was a house, but it had its own it had an apartment at the top of the house. So it was a multi-level house, and then it had an apartment at the top. So I had all three of those. Mind you, y'all, I had just also decided that I was going to get into the car rental business as well at the same time. Okay? At the same time. When I tell y'all I about lost, it was a 4-month period. No, three. It was a good January, February, March of that year. I I was not in a good way. Okay? Yeah, the company was legit. The company was legit. I mean, there were people who had like 10, 12, 20 like houses, like um I mean, these people are, I mean, I didn't realize how big of an industry it is. And it's called Airbnb arbitrage. That's what they called it. Um and there were people who have tons of them. Okay? But for me, y'all, I'm just going to tell you, for me, you have also got to know the type of business that you want to be in. And you got to understand what comes along with it. All right. Now you can hire and I'd hired a property management company to manage the property in Orlando, because that's where it was. It was in Florida. And then the one in Connecticut, I was in the process of finding a someone to furnish and stage the home, because you had to pay for that too. So I'm 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 this is a ton of money I'm investing in this, y'all. And what I realized very quickly was, number one, how much work it took to manage even the management companies, and how much it took to manage the furnishing of it. All while, again, also gearing up to start managing a rental car business as well. Y'all, by I think March, I literally said, "Get me out of here. Get me out now." Okay? I want out of this. I want out of this. Get me out of all of it. get me out of it. And I paid dearly for those. Like, those were very expensive lessons that I had to learn. And you also learn what business types work for you and which types don't work for you. And when Marie says that business is hard, it is definitely not for the faint of heart. There's actual work that needs to be done. And so much of it will rely on you when you are working in those capacities. So, because this is a physical location that he wants to start, it's a dispensary. You've just got to understand so much. There's so much that goes into it. And again, I learned my lessons the hard way. I don't want nobody else to learn those same lessons. I think, but I also feel like every lesson that you learn becomes a testimony for somebody else. So I went through that for there was a reason I went through it, right? There was something I learned from it. It made me a tougher person. It's definitely, I feel it, when I see what Kerri is going through, I understand it. When you have to say this is just not working, it is costing me more than it is bringing me in, and I just got to let it go. It's just not good for your sanity, for your mentality. Like, I I I could have done it if I had had a bigger team of people in place. At the time, it was literally just me and my assistant doing everything. And she has a management company. So she's also managing her own company, her own construction company. So it was a mess. It was a complete mess. But I learned a lesson. I learned a very, very valuable lesson from that. So business is hard. It's not easy, but that doesn't mean that it's impossible. So I think that if he took some time to sit with his mom and learn, then he would be in a much better position moving forward. Um, did I miss anything from this episode? I'm still trying to figure out what happened with Selena and her teeth, because I don't feel like her teeth are any different, but I could be wrong. But I didn't see nothing wrong with her teeth in the beginning. So, mm, I don't know. But you know what's funny though? That's also why I like um recipes. My radiant says, I love that you're still live. I had you in my ear during grocery shopping, unloading groceries, etc. Oh my god. Anyway, listen, that's why I like teaching y'all, because we're doing a master class on Tuesday for those of you guys who are interested in learning how to leverage content. You want to be a content creator. I show you another way to do it that helps you start making money in the beginning versus waiting to get monetized. I teach you how to monetize yourself very early on, because these are lessons that I learned the hard way. I give you the shortcut, the short play, so that you can. My goal, even in starting those other businesses, you do have to learn what businesses you want to start at some point, because you want to be able to leverage all of this and turn it into something that you can, that can be your thing, right? I often talk about how Stormy on not Bell Collective, well, Bell Collective Birmingham, but Love and Marriage Huntsville, like, she had the show, it basically just expanded her reach, and then she expanded it even further when she left with her TikTok. And now she's back on reality TV. She'll utilize this show. She'll expand, continue to showcase her business. And it's like, at the end of the day, at some point in time, if she ever chooses to, she could sell that business. And that business is probably worth, I mean, millions upon millions of dollars at this point. So if she ever chose to sell it, then, I mean, you want to be able to build something like that. So that's my goal over the next couple of years, is to just build my travel empire, build my trips, my excursions, which is what I'm working on right now. I had somebody text me earlier, what was the next trip after Bali, and I was like, oh girl, I got so much planned. So those are the things that we discuss in our live masterclass. I walk with you through how to do this, whatever specific plans you have. The link is in the description down below. I would be remiss if I did not promote that for you guys. We do it Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's 2 full hours. Last time we went like almost 2.5 hours. Just giving everybody a plan that they had, that they left with, that they could utilize to start generating revenue from their content. And I have to say this because, I cannot promise results, but what I can promise you is a plan. Okay. Now, if you put that plan into action, then if you put in the work, and if you serious, and if that's what you're thinking about, if that's where you are, then that's you reap the rewards of what you do. Okay. But you don't reap the rewards of what you don't do. All right. Every place that I've ever gone to in life, I've gotten there faster because I had a mentor. And as you can see, when I didn't have a mentor, you see exactly what happened with those Airbnbs and that rental car business. You got to laugh at yourself sometimes because, otherwise, you just got to think to yourself, like, dang, like, mistakes, mistakes, mistakes. But I learned. Anyway, y'all, let me get up on out of here because there is, I think, some lawn work that needs to be done. I don't know either. It doesn't seem like she needed anything done on her teeth. On Tuesday night, the link is in the description, but it is from 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah. So tap into that. And it's fun too. It's fun. It's fun for me to hear because nobody ever comes in wanting to do the same thing, which is why I have a course, but I like doing the live because I like to know how can I help you best. And if you might not want to do the same thing L wants to do, right? And L might want to do something, you might want to do something else in terms of like the content that you make. So what we need to do is figure out the best approach so that you can start your revenue generating engine. And then what's your plan going to be moving forward, right? So when I work with the client now, like when I work with them, I basically sit with them and we figure out a plan for them moving forward with their content. That's basically what we do in these sessions, but we do it in a group, pretty much. All right, y'all. Enjoy your Saturday. I'm gonna watch Love and Marriage Huntsville later on tonight. We'll come back tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow's Easter. Am I doing anything tomorrow? I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know. We might hop on here tomorrow for Easter Sunday. We'll see how that goes. But you guys be safe out there. It's a beautiful day outside here in the DMV area. So if you can get outside, I think it feels really, really good. Get outside and do something today. Get active, get some vitamin D, and I will catch you guys in the next video.